Picture this. Some of Hollywood's biggest legends, guys who had fans swooning, were hiding a big secret under their perfect hairstyles. Baldness covered up by wigs so good you'd never guess. Today we're spilling the tea on 15 iconic stars from the golden age whose famous looks were thanks to some seriously clever hairpieces. We're talking about the likes of Humphrey Bogart's cool slick-back vibe and John Wayne's tough cowboy charm. Their real co-stars weren't just their leading ladies, but the genius wig makers who kept their bald heads under wraps. Take Frank Sinatra's famous hairpiece, a masterpiece crafted to keep his swagger intact. These weren't just props for one-off roles. They were lifelong cover-ups, with studios treating them like top-secret missions. Contracts had special rules about hair maintenance. Personal stylists tagged along on every trip, and publicity teams touched up photos or threatened legal action if anyone dared whisper the word wig. It shows how much a full head of hair mattered to a star's appeal back in Hollywood's golden days, when image was everything. Stars weren't just actors. They were larger-than-life figures shaped by studios to dazzle fans. While folks might have known about nose jobs or capped teeth, wigs were the hush-hush trick nobody talked about. For leading men, a thick mane screamed strength and charm, so baldness was a career killer that needed hiding fast. Let's dive into the stories of 15 legendary actors whose perfect hair was a Hollywood illusion, crafted to boost their unforgettable on-screen magic. First up, Humphrey Bogart, the tough guy with a hidden soft spot. Bogart's slick hair was as iconic as his trench coat in Casablanca. But by the time he was nailing roles in The Maltese Falcon and The Big Sleep, his real hair was long gone. He started thinning in his early 30s, back when he was still playing bad guys. When he hit it big as a leading man in 1941 with High Sierra, the studio freaked out about his bald spot. Cinematographer Arthur Edison admitted they had to get creative with lighting to hide the edges of his wig. Bogart knew exactly how to tilt his head to keep it secret. His wife Lauren Bacall wrote in her book that he never went wigless in public, not even at home much. She said he banned photographers by the pool because that's where he'd take it off to swim. Even when cancer hit him hard in 1956, he kept that wig on in the hospital, right up to his final days. For a guy whose tough image defined cool, that wig was his biggest vulnerability, kept under lock and key. Next, Fred Astaire, dancing with a hidden helper. Fred's smooth, never out-of-place hair was a star in itself, staying perfect through wild dance moves. But it was all thanks to a custom wig built to handle his spins and jumps. He started losing hair in his late 20s, and by his first RKO films, he was rocking a wig designed with a special silk base, not the usual lace, to stick through sweaty routines. His makeup guy, Robert Schiffer, said they teamed up with Max Factor for glue that could take the heat. Fred treated his wigs like part of his costume, just as crucial as his tuxedo. He carried spares and only let a few trusted stylists touch them. Amazingly, through all his flips and ceiling dances, that wig never budged, a nod to Hollywood's wig-making wizards and Fred's pinpoint control. Ginger Rogers once joked she had to avoid messing with his hair in love scenes or he'd lose it. Third, John Wayne, the cowboy with a crafted crown. The Duke's rugged vibe made him the ultimate Western hero, but his thick hair was pure Hollywood magic. He started thinning in his late 30s, around Stagecoach in 1939. By the 1950s, he was wigged up for almost every film. His wigs were made to look rough and wind-tossed, not slick like city stars. His buddy Charlie Jamora said they avoided anything too neat to match his outdoorsy vibe. Shooting in dusty places like Monument Valley was tricky, so they used a bandana under his hat to keep the wig steady during horse chases. Wayne was chill about it, treating it like just another prop. Director Howard Hawks said he'd whip it off around close pals, but snap it back on if an outsider showed up. He once told a young actor it was hotter than a desert noon, but kept it on because the fans loved it. Fourth, Cary Grant, the king of flawless style. Cary's perfect suits and hair set the bar for charm, but his dreamy look relied on top-notch wigs. He started losing hair in his mid-30s, right as he became the go-to romantic lead. His makeup guy Del Armstrong said Cary's wigs were crazy expensive, with hairs knotted one by one into a super thin base. He had different ones for every role. Sleek for comedies like The Philadelphia Story, Messier for action flicks like Gunga Din. As he aged, he let his wigs gray naturally. Keeping it real, Alfred Hitchcock said Cary called his wig his realistic fix for a tough problem, not vanity but smart business. Fifth, James Stewart, the regular guy with a secret, Jimmy's down-to-earth charm made him everyone's favorite. But his normal guy look hit a wig. He let his hairline recede naturally in early hits like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. But by his 40s, when he was doing Rear Window, he needed wigs. His makeup guy Charles Schramm said Jimmy wanted them slightly messy to match his unflashy vibe. Director Henry Coster said he treated wigs like putting on a costume. No big deal. As he got older, he let them thin and gray, keeping that honest charm. Sixth, Frank Sinatra, the crooner with a cool cover. OL blue eyes went from teen idol to suave star, but his hair was a wig by the 1950s, kicking in around from here to eternity. His Rat Pack pals like Dean Martin teased him about his head helper during Vegas shows. Sammy Davis Jr. said Frank was touchy about it with strangers, but would joke with friends, once sending his wig to Dean in a box after a wild night. His valet George Jacobs said Frank had wigs for every occasion, stage ones for bright lights, casual ones for daily life. Tony Bennett said Frank made wigs look cool, owning it like a boss. Seventh, Burt Lancaster, the stuntman with a secret. Burt's athletic vibe was unmatched, but his thinning hair needed wigs by his late 30s. His early films like The Killers showed his real receding hair, but for action roles like The Crimson Pirate, his wigs were built to handle flips and sword fights. Stunt guy Lou Elias said they used special glue and mesh to keep it tight. Director John Frankenheimer said Burt was pro about it, calling for touch-ups like it was no big deal. Kirk Douglas teased him about his extra edge with the ladies. Eighth, William Holden, the star with a hidden crown. Holden's shift from young heartthrob in Golden Boy to gritty roles in Sunset Boulevard came with wigs. He started losing hair in his 30s, and by Stalag 17, he was wigged up. His hairdresser Larry Germain said they matched his early look, keeping a slightly receded style, Billy Wilder noted. Holden hated the fakeness but wore it for work. Humid shoots like the bridge on the River Kwai made it tough, and by the Wild Bunch, his wigs got more noticeable. Ninth, Spencer Tracy, the natural with a fake top. Tracy's real guy acting vibe was pure magic, but his thinning hair needed wigs by his 50s. MGM made them subtle to look like a middle-aged guy's hair. Makeup artist William Tuttle said they avoided the obvious wig look. Tracy was cool with it, treating it like part of the job. Katharine Hepburn said he'd take it off around her, calling it that damn thing. But it was key to his leading man status. 10th, Robert Taylor, MGM's crafted idol. Taylor's rise from college kid to romantic lead leaned on wigs. MGM started using them early to keep his perfect look. Hairdresser Sidney Gilleroff said the studio saw his hair as a moneymaker. His wigs shifted from sleek in the 1930s to tougher post-war styles. Director George Sidney said he treated them like learning lines, just part of the gig. 11th, Bob Hope, the funny guy with a hidden top. Bob's ageless look was a wig from his late 30s, built to handle his goofy comedy moves. Makeup guy Wally Westmore said Bob used his wig for laughs in private military shows. Never on camera, his hairdresser Harry Gilbert kept a stash of identical wigs to keep his look steady for decades, even in his 80s. Fans just rolled with it as part of his charm. 12th, Yul Brynner, the bald icon who sometimes wigged up. Yul's shaved head for the king and I became his signature, but he wore wigs for roles like Solomon and Sheba. Makeup guy Phil Rhodes said Yul saw wigs as costume pieces. No big ego. His bald look was so iconic, people forgot he ever had hair. 13th, Sean Connery. From Bond's perfect hair to real baldness, Sean was balding by his 20s. so his Bond films used wigs to keep 007 suave. Hairdresser Charles Parker said they were built tough for fight scenes. By his 40s, he ditched wigs for films like The Offense, showing his real bald head. Director Sidney Lumet said Sean wanted to drop the fake look to be a serious actor, and it worked. His bald vibe in The Untouchables kept him a heartthrob. 14th, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., the classy guy with a secret. Fairbanks Jr. started thinning in his 30s, post-World War II. Wigs kept his swashbuckling charm. Hairdresser Robert Schiffer said he treated them like a fine suit. Classy but no fuss, his wigs aged naturally, matching his elegant vibe. 15th, Cesar Romero, the charmer with a bold wig. Caesar's smooth Latin lover look relied on wigs by his 30s, by his Joker role in Batman. His obvious wig fit the campy vibe. Makeup guy Ben Nye said Caesar didn't care if people noticed, treating it like part of the act. He'd adjust it casually on set, and fans loved his theatrical flair. These 15 stars show how wigs shaped their legends. From Bogart's cool to Astaire's grace, Wayne's grit to Grant's polish, each wig was tailored to their vibe. Wig tech got so good it could handle close-ups and wild shoots. Perfectionists like Grant wanted invisible wigs. Down-to-earth guys like Stewart kept it real. Practical dudes like Wayne saw it as a tool. It's wild how studios kept this secret with tricky lighting and tight-lipped press. Back then, nobody spilled. Unlike today's tell-all vibe, these wigs weren't just about looks. They helped create characters that live forever. Like Bogart's Rick or Wayne's Cowboys, Fred Astaire said it best. Fans remember your performance, not your hair. So which star's wig shocked you most? Did you ever spot a hint in their films? Drop a comment and tell us how these secrets change your view of these legends. If you love this peek into Hollywood's hidden tricks, hit like and subscribe for more classic cinema scoops. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.